Although edited for television, tonight's thriller contains scenes of suspense and violence which may be unsuitable for young viewers. Parental discretion is advised.
State-of-the-art Japanese animation.
Ahazas, and welcome
Zawa.
welcome to the Otaku Host Club Podcast. My name is Amelia, and of course, I am always joined here with Geoff and Dan.
Domo.
Zawa.
So, we're going to be talking about Kaiji in this episode.
Yes.
Dan is so hyped.
I'm so hyped.
If you are on video, you can see his burning manly passion.
I know. And did you guys notice there's a Tenjin Toppa Gurren Lagann reference in Kaiji?
Shit, no.
No.
It's at the end of season 1.
Spoilers.
It's like
we've gotten 2 minutes into the podcast. I haven't given the spoiler warning yet. Heavy spoilers before Kaiji.
This is all right. The single screenshot is not a heavy duty spoiler.
Okay.
It's when Tonegawa's discussing the state of modern society at the end of season 1. He talks about how artists keep telling you to make the most of your life, but these losers will never be able to make the most of their life. And when he talks about the artist, there's a screenshot of a band, a still shot of a band that pops up, and that band is Simon and the other main characters of Tenjin Toppa Gurren Lagann.
Wow.
What?
I'm serious. Yeah,
I totally missed that.
And that's how you know that Kaiji has the same burning manly spirit as Tenjin Toppa Gurren Lagann.
I'm crying manly tears over here.
Yes, Kaiji is one of my top 10 shows of all time. I've seen it so many times. I'm already bursting at the seams in energy to talk about it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Kaiji and Squid Game, compare and contrast. See what's the difference. Who did it better? Who did it worse?
Yeah.
Maybe. But first, we have a Discord member to shout out. I want to shout out to Florida, Maine. Love the username. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and coming to our Kaiji watch party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we're gonna get the watch party in a good state.
Yes. I did all the things. All the things are happening. It should be fine now.
Oh, okay. We're
It's interesting getting the voice behind a username, the user face person on the web.
Oh, the interweb person.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. And we got a little bit of news, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes.
Well, should we talk about anything interesting we've been watching?
I watched this show called Haganai.
They're gonna say Haagen-Dazs.
No, I'm lactose intolerant.
Oh yeah.
How was Haganai?
So I was watching A Sister's All You Need. Like 3 weeks ago, and A Sister's All You Need has like a shit ton of otaku references for like siscon anime and like the kind of anime that I like or whatever. So and he kept talking about Haganai, which he's the writer of Haganai too. So the writer of A Sister's All You Need also wrote Haganai, which is an anime that came out before. And so I was like, what the heck are all these references? I need to know now. I guess I gotta watch fucking Haganai. So I watched it, and it's just about a group of people who don't have any friends, and they form a club at school called the Neighbors Club to help people gain friends and do friend things. And they go to the water park, they hang out together, they go to the festival, little romance happens.
Bit
And
of
there's
slice of life.
It is. And there's a cute ass little sister in it. So, I'm all about that shit.
Oh, you're going to add it to your list for Shonen Brothers?
Actually, probably, maybe, yes. Yes, because she's really fucking cute. She's like a little Chunibyo girl, and she always wears like an eye patch, and she talks like she like has magic abilities, and she always goes kick, 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 kick. And it's really fucking cute. And I fell in love.
What about you, Geoff?
Just watched the first episode of Blade Runner Black Lotus.
Oh,
just literally just watched it, and
how was it?
I just like, why, man? Why? It felt like a derivative rip just from the first movie. Like from some scenes, some settings were just taken straight from the first movie, and it felt like a long video game cutscene, which is kind of cool. But
it's anime.
It's and it's in that Shinji Aramaki, whatever that studio is called. It's in that animation style, which actually the fight scenes were actually really good. It just looked, the character animations are what I have a hard time with the 3D stuff. But all the backgrounds and all the settings the set pieces look really good. Great atmosphere. It looked like it was straight from the movie. But that's part of my problem. It's like, why don't you just do something different? Like make it even from the second movie, from the newest movie. Make it feel like it's from that movie instead. So I would like to review it on my own.
I saw Dune.
Oh, me too.
Oh, yeah, you watched it. Hell
yeah. Yeah, we went to the theater. Yeah.
Dude, I gotta tell you, the Dune movie, I don't want to dwell on the Dune movie. And I feel like I'm at
Dan's a
risk
hardcore Dune stan now, so
yeah, I
don't want to open that
now.
floodgate.
I went in with like I've never read the books. I have
me either.
I'm not even a fan. I only know a little bit about the story. I walked out of that movie theater feeling like I gotta go buy every book right now. This is the greatest shit in the fucking world. Like I thought that was the best cinematic experience that I've had in years. It's the first time in a long time I've consciously thought in the movie theater, this is a great soundtrack. This is a great looking movie. You know, like everything about it I thought was absolutely phenomenal. I went home, watched it on HBO the next day. I'm going back to the theater, see it again this week. I loved it.
Nobody ate in the movie. I'm kind of curious how they're surviving in this desert without eating anything.
Yeah.
There's two eating scenes, and one of the scenes is with the largest person in this movie.
Yeah, for being this deadly heat, they did not really portray heat in this movie in a visceral way. Like I didn't get they told the audience many times that the heat will kill you in like 2 to 3 hours, but it didn't really feel like that. But I kind of understand that I don't know, how do you really show that without being like kind of uber dramatic? And B, maybe you're supposed to get that. Other people told me like, no, you get that from watching the sweat of the mouse, and the scampering through the desert.
Like that was the cutest part of the whole movie. Okay. I love that part, the cute little mouse.
I'll also say this movie brought me and my mom together. Wow. I managed to have a reasonable conversation with my mom because she's a longtime Dune fan. She read the books when they came out. And she was very happy to talk about how the books in the movie are different and kind of go, analyze the differences, whether these were better or worse. I have a bad relationship with my mom. It's pretty rare that we talk to each other. So this was a good family bonding moment.
Nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think you get a greater appreciation for the movie if you've read the books. But I think to both of your points, like if you don't have to read the books. They're just great films by themselves, standalone. And I imagine they're selling a lot of Dune books right now.
Yeah. I also imagine that Shai Hulud is getting listened to a lot more now because we listen to it.
I was thinking about that too. Actually.
We were in the theater and Steven goes, "Do you remember that band?" And I was like, "Yeah, I fucking remember that band." Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wait, so it's named after this band?
No, but there's
No.
PA hardcore band named Shai
Vice
Hulud.
versa.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's
okay.
like a corny 90s vaguely tough guy hardcore band that were
Va-
kind of popular.
Yeah, vaguely tough guy. When I was listening to all of that music back in the day, I was like, man, these guys are tough. And then I put it on in the car and I was like, what the I can pick up no quarters to this song. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I did think about that though. Whenever they talk about Shai Hulud in the movie, I think like, half of the like my brain is going like, half of them went on to Newfound Glory. Kind of
No,
interesting.
they did not.
Yeah, huh? Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? I mean, Newfound Glory is
Yeah.
like one of my all-time faves.
Yeah.
And
That's
they're all
crazy.
hardcore, like they're literally all white, right? And
Yes.
Please don't. Okay.
Yeah,
Because
pretty
a lot of the terminology in this book is Arabic and
Mhm.
Islamic terms.
Mhm.
I just think that's
Mhm.
kind of interesting. I listened to a podcast just recently about that, the representation between like how Frank Herbert chose the words and all the research he had to do
Mm,
to write the novels. Very, very interesting stuff.
Cool. So I started, and to go back to anime, I started watching Darker Than Black this past week. So I'm only like 6 episodes in so far. But
Explain.
it's all right.
Explain what's darker than black.
So it is kind of like an action thriller. In some ways, it kind of reminds me of the Ghost in the Shell TV shows, but it's not nearly as smart or is kind of like well crafted. But it has a similar sense of storytelling tempo and characterization. Similar sense of I don't know, vibe at certain points. And yeah, it features a world, it takes place in a world where there are mysterious giant walls that seem to block the known world from the unknown world. For example, there is a giant wall in the middle of Tokyo and they can't seem to get to the other side of the wall. And so all the action's taking place on kind of the known side of Tokyo. And with the arrival of these giant walls came the arrival of contractors who are supernatural beings that
Ibane?
no, they're like supernatural beings. They have power, destructive magical powers, but whenever they utilize their magical powers, they are required kind of like by contract, so to speak, to do these like kind of weird, arduous tasks or like tedious tasks. Like one guy, he'll like do his magical powers and kill all these people. Then he's got to sit and like dog ear the pages of like books for like an hour. It was just like compelled to do this. He can't not just sit there and like flip and dog ear the pages of like 5 books for the amount of magic power that he used. And another guy like uses his magic power, then he's got to smoke a pack of cigarettes, even though he hates smoking. It just makes him cough and like wig out and whatnot. So that's kind of the setting. And within this world, we are watching our seem to be some kind of organized crime grunt unit, part of the syndicate, as they keep saying, kind of go about their daily tasks in kind of like crime and suspense and thriller type
Post-apocalyptic?
interesting situations. No, it's not post-apocalyptic really. And the governments try to conceal the existence of the contractors from the general public. So there's a lot of like secrecy and like, oh, we got to wipe this person's memories. Oh, clean up this area. And oh, there's fake news about what really happened, but actually it was contractors. And there's lots of like secret agents and intelligence community. And then the police are like, oh, what, like, why are we being kept in the dark? We have to solve this crime. Oh, there's a contractor. And so 6 episodes in, it's all right. it has kind of a high My Anime List score, which made me think that this was going to be really great. Doesn't strike me as really great so far, but yeah, it's entertaining enough. Yeah, I like it.
Cool. Yeah, one other thing I wanted to mention was Blue Period.
Oh, you watching it now?
I've been, yeah.
You
Yeah,
checked it out.
I'm about 2 episodes into it.
Oh, that's nice. I like that one.
Yeah, it's okay.
Doesn't it remind you of school though?
It does, especially in high school.
Oh, really?
It takes me back to high school.
Mm.
I hear the criticism with the animation. I haven't read the manga, but the animation is just mediocre at best.
Is it? I can't tell.
Yeah, it ain't that hot.
Oh, okay.
But the story's cool. The story's good.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I can imagine it's basically just centers around this student who is all about getting A's and like taking the easy route in society of, graduating and doing what's going to be most profitable in the long run. And then he discovers art and he's like, fuck, this girl can draw and paint. And then he starts doing it. He's like, I'm actually good at this. And he finds a passion in that. And he starts applying for university,
Mm-hmm.
go to art school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very relatable.
Mm-hmm. Very, very relatable.
It's very relatable. I said I'm the girl specifically, the blue eye one that's graduating as a senior.
Uh-huh.
Because she's like, yeah, I've been, she's basically been doing it since she's a kid.
Yeah.
Whereas he is just starting. He's just starting out. He don't know what he's doing.
Jeffrey over there with that natural born artistical talent.
Mm-hmm.
Me over here struggling.
Well, that's just the big picture to me is just like, well, you can do your passions and whatnot, but that doesn't necessarily mean it pays the bills.
That's true.
But do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Children, do what makes you happy.
I always watched my parents go to these like 9-to-5 jobs every day and fucking hate their lives. And my dad used to, before I was born, my dad was a photographer. He would do wedding photography, but he also did large format photography, black and white, like old school analog, whatever. And when I was born, he had to stop doing that so that he could provide for us. Mm-hmm. And then my mom, she always worked at like a banker. She does like fraud investigation and stuff. But they always hated their jobs. It always seemed like, they hated going there. And so I would see them every day, like going to these jobs that I knew they didn't like. And I was like, I don't ever want to be that. Like, at least if the job that I go to, I can like be happy at and like get fulfillment in, then like that's what I want to do. I don't want to just like settle on something because I have to provide for something or someone, So yeah, that's why I chose art. I was like, I want it. This is fun. This is fulfilling for me. It's like, it makes me like want to get up and do something and be creative every day. So
So I've kind of taken a slightly divergent track in my worldview from that regard. I've come to the conclusion that one should not look to their job to bring them any satisfaction or fulfillment, because it's just not going to happen. Either you do something that you love, and because of the stress of doing it as a job, you wind up not loving it in the end, or you do something that you hate and you're not going to like it anyway. I think it's, my worldview has become that it is best to find a job that doesn't really bother you, or that like doesn't, a job that does not place great demands on your life, or that is like a relative neutral in your life, and that provides you the space to do the things that you like on your own time,
But you spend so much time at your job though. That's so much of your life at your job.
Maybe I'm approaching this from a relative point of privilege insofar as I've been fortunate to find my way into the professional world, and federal government stuff. But I feel like most professional jobs, depending on what exact professional job you got, like most office jobs, you don't really got to work all that hard if you play your cards right. You you can show up and then log out and go home. You got a set schedule. You like have your nights and weekends completely free and the money to do what you want to do. And I do understand that 40 hours a week is a fair amount of your time, but
until you're 70, Dan.
yeah, I mean,
you can't retire at 67. You live for like 40 more years after that.
I mean, I realize that this is true, but I don't know. Like,
I want a job I don't want to retire from. I want it to be so fulfilling that I just like want to do it all day.
Yeah, but day. What job is going to be that fulfilling?
NFTs, maybe.
Fucking
NFTs. We gotta get on the NFT.
I know,
Dan, I'm telling you, we'll make that work, and then you gotta sell it.
Yes,
and then
please.
we'll just get rich off that shit.
Thank
Blockchain
you.
and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you all my money, and you can put it in the pachinko parlor.
My experience in this is a little bit influenced by my own attempts to make a living off doing what I loved, and finding that it really did not pay very much money relative to the insane amount of stress and anxiety that it induced in me. And by the time I kind of came out the other end, I fucking hate it. Like, I love punk more than anything when I was younger. I still love it a lot. But by the time I kind of came out the other end of my journey of doing this for a living, then deciding I didn't want to do this for a living anymore, I fucking hated punk, and still I kind of carry a lot of baggage with me in that regard, where like, I love it so much, but I fucking hate it so much too. And it does nothing but make me angry and anxious and irritated. It's like every day there's something new that pisses me off. And, if you like, how do you avoid falling into that pit? By not getting involved and seeing what happens behind the scenes, by not like, finding your way into the economies of it. If I was just collecting records as a fan and going to shows as a fan, then I'd still have this like pure, idealized and untainted view of it. But now that I see everything behind the scenes, it's like, oh dude, I hate it. I hate it. I guess I assume it's like that for any kind of creative job, where like, it's great to take photographs, or like Shirobako is a great example of this, with the woman that is like, I want to do 3D animation. She works at a 3D animation studio and does nothing but make car wheels. And then she's like, I fucking hate this. But it's like, it's like, that's
you've
what
been
it
demoted.
That's what it means
car wheels.
That's what it means to do this shit in a professional context, and if you really like want to have this pure and idealistic love of the medium, then like, there's a difference between that versus doing what pays the bills. What pays the bills is making car wheels for 40 hours a week, and that's it's a different kind of love that brings you to a place of doing it in that way. I think it'd be better for that woman to like, if she really like hates making car wheels like that, she should just get out of the industry and like find a like normal
you
job.
should just give up.
So I might start reading Blue Period. I like this anime, but I think I might give the manga a try. But speaking of manga, we don't really talk about manga too often on this show.
We don't.
And I've been reading manga.
We've been reading manga.
So I don't know. Like, should we start bringing in discussions about manga? Is that a thing?
Maybe we should have a manga episode.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Future episode idea. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, there's a lot of incoming news this past week.
Yeah, an interesting time at the end of anime.
Hit us with it. Hit us with the good.
Well, one of Dan's favorite shows is being adapted. We talked about this, I think, last episode, about One Piece being adapted into an anime show, which is cool because, well, Cowboy Bebop is becoming an anime show, and it comes out this week, I believe.
Wait, it's already been an anime show.
I'm sorry,
Confusing
the anime
and
into a live action. The anime is being made into another
That's
anime.
Yeah.
4D real life anime.
Yeah.
It's going to be an American anime.
That's what Netflix and adaptations should be called.
Okay.
We were talking about Discord too, and I was like, man, there hasn't been any good Shonen Jump adaptations. And what was I comparing? There was
we were talking about Yu Yu Hakusho in the Discord.
That was and that's another big news topic, right?
There's so many live actions being made from big name shonens right now.
So when you say it like that, I wonder why that is. Like, why now, and what's the logic behind pumping all this stuff out? Because it's not like it's cheap. These One Piece episodes have, if I remember this correctly, and Geoff, maybe you can correct me, they got a $10 million budget per episode.
What?
It's like a similar budget per episode as Game of Thrones. So it's not cheap.
I'm sorry. How long is the live action going to be if the anime is 1,000 episodes?
Well, so this is supposed to be 10 episodes that covers the first the first quarter of the story. It's supposed to do just the journey through the East Blue.
Okay, so this is the Cliff Notes version.
It's probably going to wind up being that way. Yeah.
I ain't mad at that.
I mean, so this would cover when they pick up Zoro, when they pick up Sanji, when they pick up the fellow with the nose. What's his name again? Usopp.
God, you don't
Usopp.
know? It's your favorite anime, Dan. I feel like you should know all the characters.
I'm always bad with character names. Yeah, so it's got the arcs of picking up Zoro, picking up Usopp, picking up Sanji, and the picking up Nami. So those kind of four arcs. Presumably.
Yeah, there's a quick Twitter video that I could share real quick.
Share it. Yeah.
And all the cast members are like, I'm going to be this person, and I'm looking forward to
that one. Yeah.
You've seen that, okay?
Yes.
Of course he has. It's his favorite anime.
No, but I think the casting looks pretty good.
I think all of these look really good,
Fantastic.
but I'm the worst fan of anime because I love live action adaptations. I am probably the only person on earth that likes the Ghost in the Shell Hollywood adaptation.
I agree that the casting looks reasonable to me, but even with a big budget like this, I'm gonna have to see it to believe it. I don't really think this One Piece adaptation is going to be good. I just don't see how this translates to live action in a way that is reasonable, especially not in the long run.
It seemed like everyone was on the opinion on our Discord that Yu Yu Hakusho would make a better adaptation.
Yeah,
than this.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Demon World, you know what I mean? Who doesn't want that?
Well, I hope they stick with the whole 90s vibe.
I hope they got good ass drip because Yu Yu Hakusho has some good ass drip. So if your live action adaptation doesn't have some nice outfits and aesthetic to it, you did it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recognize any of these actors, but they look kind of like the characters. Usopp. I'm happy they chose a black colored person for this.
Yeah.
POC. But you can't say that about the other characters necessarily. I mean, Zoro is maybe the actor is of Asian descent. I don't know.
Is
But
this One Piece or Yu Yu?
I'm sorry, One Piece.
Okay.
The guy playing Luffy's a Brazilian guy, if I understand this right.
Mm-mm.
But I agree that Usopp really ought to be, Usopp is clearly a dark-skinned individual, and there's no debating that. But
Yeah,
I don't think you would need to by default have Zoro, Nami, or Luffy as being Asian per se. I mean, they could be, they could not be. I think.
Well, the world's kind of ambiguous with it's like race and gender and things like that. So much as it's not necessarily trying to be politically correct in that regard.
Yeah,
like people give a lot of shit to Ghost in the Shell because they quote unquote whitewashed it, but I think that's a little bit more grounded in reality, in our reality, in a futuristic kind of way, but yeah. And
who's the redheaded character? Who's the redheaded girl?
Nami.
They have a picture of Nami next to Emma Stone. I feel like that was a missed opportunity because Emma Stone would have killed it. I love her. I love her. I love her so much.
Yeah, one of my cats is named Nami, thanks to the show.
Oh, that's where you got that from.
Yeah, I was watching anywhere up towards five episodes a day at one point.
Hell yeah.
In other news, U.S. Congressman fantasizes about killing AOC Biden in Attack on Titan video.
Yeah. Attack on AOC.
Yeah, Dan, you brought that to our attention in a meme, and then I was just like shocked. I was like, "This is a joke, right?"
I thought that was just absolutely insane, and there's a lot of there's a lot of kind of obvious questions like why the fuck would you do this? Why would you think this is a good idea? Why would you think this is reasonable for public consumption? But also there's some kind of like lower level questions too, like does that Republican congressperson watch Attack on Titan? Like maybe they were put up to this by their kid for some reason. Was it an intern? Like how did Attack on Titan come into this conversation as being the context here? So it was really bizarre.
Apparently it's pretty big among the alt-right. There's a big fan base that supports this show, Attack on Titan, because of the fascist undertones.
Really interesting.
I could kind of see that being the case, but
people do reference the kind of fascist undertones or militarism undertones of Attack on Titan, but honestly, I don't really get that, or like I don't, that those undertones must be pretty under, because I'm not I don't really, it doesn't resonate with me at all in that way. What about Attack on Titan is supposed to be so like fascistic?
Well, I mean, I guess there's the idea of
I'm not expecting you to answer this per se, but
okay,
more like
rhetorical idea.
Yeah, this is more of a rhetorical question. Sorry for not making that so clear. Because I went on a date with a girl that told me she didn't like Attack on Titan because it's like kind of like fascist propaganda, and I was like, is it? That really did not seem that way as I watched it, but yeah, okay, So I feel like I've heard this before, but someone can hop on the Discord and make the case for how Attack on Titan is a right-wing kind of show.
I guess if it were made in like the 1940s, maybe. But even then, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I get that it's like got a king that is oppressing its people, and there's like some feudalism involved, but I don't equate that to fascism really, and I don't really see that as being so like out of bounds with a bajillion. I mean, you could say the same thing about Game of Thrones, that I don't see that. I don't see anything in Attack on Titan as being particularly out of kilter with any number of other intellectual properties and franchises that portray like there's kings, there's an oppressed underclass,
Yeah, I've been having a hard time finding the actual video now. So if you're looking for this, I'm sure it's out there. You got to just maybe do a little bit.
Yeah, well, they yanked it off
Twitter, right? Yeah, it's gone
because it was a violation of terms of service and shit.
Yeah. So those who don't know, should I just read I'll just read part of this article, real quick. So Representative Paul Gosar, Republican of Arizona, posted an absolutely unhinged video on Twitter yesterday that spliced the Attack on Titan anime together with footage from the U.S. border with Mexico and showed characters attacking Democratic lawmakers, including President Biden. That's kind of the gist of it. Just imagine all their faces.
Yeah,
That's
they'd swapped faces from the first opening so that Joe Biden was the colossal Titan and AOC was one of the other Titans, and then all the main characters running around, with on their 3D gear were different Republican, personalities.
Yeah. Creative stuff, huh? That's going to be an NFT as well.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I as a jokey meme adaptation of the first opening, I was not very impressed because they really I mean, it's got the music, but it's only got like 25% of the animation from the first opening. Otherwise, it's just clips of like migrants and migrant abuse. But yeah, just putting the face, it was like kind of interesting, but I didn't think this was some great work of art. And obviously, like in context, it's like, dude, it's absolutely fucking insane and completely deranged for a fucking sitting, elected official to be posting stuff like this. Is like completely out of bounds and inappropriate. Yeah, and if it was just like some random fucking dude on the internet posting this featuring elected officials, like I wouldn't really bat an eye about that. But it's like, dude, if you're in a sitting elected official, that comes with a level of decorum, because in theory you're representing a huge swath of people, so you're trying to find commonality, you're trying to find unification. It's not like a Republican congressperson only represents Republicans. In theory, they're supposed to be representing their entire district, both Republicans and Democrats and everybody else. Like they're the elected official. They're supposed to be doing what's best for the people that elected them. So yeah, this kind of stuff is, I mean, that person should be like, I don't know, punished in some way, like
well, he also
Congress or something.
He also voted to return the results of the 2020 election. So
no, of course he did. I mean, he's probably a real piece of shit.
Setting the bar real high. Amelia, you have until December 1st to watch all of JoJo's.
Oh my God.
Because that is the date that it's coming out. Stone Ocean. So just gonna put that out there.
Yeah.
Coming, baby.
I just watched Kaiji. I just binged Kaiji.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a second. I want to make sure we talk about Bleach coming back.
Oh.
There's a new. Well, there's like, I think they announced that they are going to announce a new Bleach anime.
Yeah, there's been the trends recently in anime news. It's like, we're gonna tell you something soon. Here's the news article about the thing that we're gonna tell you about soon.
So as I understand, the internet speculation is that they are adapting the final story arc of Bleach. I'm gonna watch that.
I was never a big Bleach fan, but I could be convinced. I could be convinced to start watching it.
I was never a fan.
I wouldn't watch it.
I haven't watched Bleach either, but I would watch the Netflix live adaptation of it.
Yeah, I watched Bleach. I didn't watch the filler arcs, but I watched all the story arcs. I don't think it's worth watching, really. Especially like by the time you're in your 30s, it's not worth watching. But I liked Bleach at the time, and I'm happy to go back and watch in the final story arc.
Should we get into our burning manly spirit now?
Zawa.
I hate that the second season, they like, instead of just letting the Zawa happen, they said psst, psst. I hated that.
That's my shit.
I think this might be the true test of our podcast.
Oh my fucking god! What do you mean by that?
Oh god. That means she's putting on gloves. Damn, that's what
I'm putting on my boxing gloves.
Oh my fucking
I'm putting
god!
on I cut my fingers off gloves, and I don't want you to know I cut my fingers off gloves.
So, Geoff and I were discussing a little on the format of discussing Kaiji versus Squid Game, because ultimately we're trying to compare and contrast to the big top hit of the moment, Squid Game. But I
Squid Game dough. Oh my god!
nah.
What a great first episode. Oh man. Whew. What a dooz.
Of Squid Game,
Yes.
it didn't really leave an impression on me personally. Here I was thinking, dude, Kaiji first episode is fucking tremendous. It just gets you straight into the action.
No, it doesn't. Not even a little. It takes 8 episodes to get into the action. What do you mean?
What do you mean? No, you bet. Squid Game first episode is just character writing, which is not bad, per se. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that first episode of Squid Game is just character writing. First episode of Kaiji, by the end of the first episode of Kaiji, he is on the boat getting ready for the first gamble. And that's just in 20
They play
minutes.
the first game in the first episode.
Yeah, in Kaiji, yeah, okay. So, and you mean in Squid Game?
Yeah, the first episode they played like half the people die.
Really? I don't remember. I remember that being the second episode.
Yeah, no, it's the first episode.
He's the first.
No.
The second
Yeah.
episode is total character writing. So boring that I was like, really? You came out with this banger first episode, and I was like hooked. And then now I got to go back to these people outside of the boat. Like, come on. But then I get why they did that.
So we should probably say this, that we're going to spoil the fuck out of both Squid Game and Kaiji.
Heavy.
Yeah. So if you want to
Spoilers.
watch the two of these first and come back and listen to this, I would recommend it.
Yes, very highly recommended.
Yeah. So, and as we talk about this, I think this hits on one of the biggest differences between these shows, that Squid Game is a very character-driven show, and it spends a lot of time writing these backstories for the characters and kind of gets bought, its emotional currency is based on your investment in these characters, and the games are more like trials for the characters to overcome. And there's element of gore and action and violence to all the games, and you're shocked by this because you care about the characters. Kaiji, I think, is kind of the opposite side of the coin. Is not a character driven show. The characters are kind of produced to you only in terms of creating different emotional states for Kaiji as an individual, and only to kind of poke and prod Kaiji into different directions. And the focus is much less on the characters and much more on the games, in that and it's about figuring out the strategy of the games and the hidden tricks of the games, and how's Kaiji going to pull out a win, or increase his chances of winning, because the games are not violent, action oriented games. The games are, generally speaking, thinking kind of games, strategic games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and to say is the biggest similarity is I think really the main character in Squid Game, Gi-hun, and then Kaiji they're both in debt. They're struggling financially, and it's just a means for them to gamble again, or gamble your life in Squid Game, gamble money, and I guess maybe your life as well in Kaiji. But just this idea of we need the money, and we're gonna do anything possible to do that.
I do want, I thought this was another key difference between Kaiji and Squid Game, though, because in Squid Game, when we think of why these people are gambling, they are buying, because of the way the show is so character oriented, they really, for whatever reason, they portray all of these characters as, having made mistakes, having like being criminals. There's a little bit of an element of like, oh, they deserve what's happening to them. They like robbed people, they like, commit fraud, they've done all these bad things, and now they're paying the price. Kaiji never has that element to it. I mean, Kaiji himself gets stuck in this situation completely by bad luck because he co-signed on his friend's loan, and his friend ran out on the loan and defaulted. And it's like Kaiji didn't even do anything wrong. And a lot of the characters of Kaiji, are not they're never shown to be criminal. Like the people participating in the gambles, generally speaking, they're never shown to be criminals. They're never shown to be bad people in any kind of way. They're all just kind of victims of poor circumstances and poor judgment, whether they're just like kind of too naive and too trusting, or they're too stupid, or they just are like just have bad luck. They just got caught in a bad cycle. Or in the case of the blonde guy from later on in season 1 of Kaiji, like he didn't even have to be there. He chose to be there just because he's a guy that lives in poverty and feels like, this is my one attempt to break out of the poverty cycle, so I have to do this.
I feel like that's the one thing in Kaiji that they don't do. They don't explain these character backstories. I'm to believe that all of these people have done things exactly like people in Squid Game. They just don't explain it because it's not about the characters for Kaiji. It's about Kaiji versus the game, or Kaiji versus like whoever is like dealing on the game.
Because I never made that assumption in Kaiji.
I mean, how else does any one person like get into those situations? By making the same mistake over and over, whether it be gambling or, robbing people. Like the one guy in season 2 robs his boss's safe. Like these people are doing bad things.
Yeah. The Sakamoto, I think his name is, in season 2. I mean, it's true that that particular guy, and Endo too, like becomes he's an antagonist in season 1. Becomes kind of a protagonist in season 2. But so there are some of these people that are like doing nefarious tasks, but by and large, like think of the 45ers in season 2. 45ers are like, they're not stealing, they really don't come across as criminal types. They can come across as like stupid people or foolish people. And I think personally, I think I see a lot of Kaiji as an allegory in Kaiji himself as this like Christ-like figure, where he is the like the messiah of the stupid and the messiah of the downtrodden and unlucky. He's the suffering pariah, right? He's the champion of the people. And, he is like, it's kind of like, of all the stupid people, Kaiji is the smartest one. Of all the unlucky people,
he's still
Kaiji
dumb,
is the
though.
luckiest one.
He's still dumb.
He loses
Kaiji
all the time.
is such like I had such a hard time watching Kaiji because Kaiji is so unlikable. Every single turn.
You think so? Really?
Yes. Literally, he makes the same mistake consecutively throughout the entire 2 seasons. He doesn't learn from his mistakes.
What mistake do you think he keeps making?
Well, in the games, he's too trusting of everyone. He trusts he trusts that these people are playing fair, when it's like you are literally in like a life or death like stakes game, and you're gonna trust in other people. You should only literally trust in yourself. And he keeps making those mistakes every single time he does any kind of game. It's hard to root for him. He's so dumb.
I agree that Kaiji is too trusting. I don't see his trustingness in the same context as like, oh, he trusts the people he's playing against in these games. But I do generally like, he is trusting of Endo towards the end of season 2. He's like trusting of Ando in season 1, the guy that double crosses him, and is in the rock paper scissors game. I mean, he's like, clearly he's trusting all the time, even with the 45ers. He like trusts them, in this like very blank check kind of way. And but I don't see this as being a mistake that he doesn't learn from. I see this again as like Kaiji being this Christ-like figure that like he is trusting. He accepts those around him, you know, for who they are and where they're at. He like always sees the best in people. He is genuinely kind and genuinely caring and empathetic, you know.
But at
we
the
see that
expense of
even
himself.
I know that, just like Jesus Christ. That's what I'm saying. Kaiji is a Christ-like figure.
She doesn't want to hear it.
It's an allegorical story.
I don't want to hear it. He's so dumb. Ugh.
Yeah, he's kind of, but then it's like also because of that, he kind of plays into the hero trope in that he must first, like he goes after Kyoto at the first season after he loses. He needs to hit rock bottom before he can rise again, so to speak.
Was he not already at rock bottom? I'm sorry. You had the money. He had the money. And then because of your pride, you thought that you could best this man who is literally the head of the company that you are trying to fight for your life for.
Yeah,
why would you think that was possible? Take your money and walk. I'll respond to that, but I want to reference to Kyoto. Because if you remember, Kyoto was one of my top 3 anime antagonists of all time on the Shonen Bros, Anime Brothers podcast. Yeah, I meant to re-listen to that episode because I wanted to see what you said about him, because that's the episode that you spoiled Kaiji for everyone. Yeah. And I was like, dude, I wanted to listen to that again to see how much you actually spoiled.
Yeah, Kyoto for sure, just one of the ultimate anime antagonists. This guy is just, he's so evil. He's like the embodiment of the evils of capitalism. And I think a lot about the scene where him and Kaiji are walking through the hallway with all the injured from the plank walk. And Kyoto walks up to that guy and starts hitting him, and the guy is like screaming out in pain, and Kyoto is like, I can do this because his pain means literally nothing to me. He actually wants me to do it because of money. And then he's like, and then the Tei employee comes and like throws a couple thousand yen at this dude, and the guy was like, please hit me again. And it's like, dude, just everything about that scene is like, oh dude, so brutal.
He's like drooling from his mouth.
It's like
there are like, the thing about Kaiji is like, it's not as brutal as Squid Game. Squid Game.
Yeah.
Squid Game really plays up the gore and the visceralness of these games, because like Kaiji, I don't think is supposed to be kind of like a death. Like, I, before watching Kaiji, have only seen scenes of him on the plank, or like his like visualizations of like what he's going through, or the hurdles that he has to cross. So in my mind, when I went into Kaiji, I was like, oh, this is going to be a death game anime with gambling in it. And it is kind of like, there are a few moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is like, I'm cringing, like I'm having a bad time. I do not want to see these people with their broken bones and stuff. But I feel like Squid Game for me hits the more like visceral, like I can see these people suffering. Like, yes, people in Kaiji suffer the entire time, you know, they're doing like crazy labor with like not that much food, you know what I mean? And but like, because you can really see how high these people are falling from, and like their faces and like the emotion behind everything, I feel like, I don't know, a Squid Game for me is like way more visceral in that sense.
And I agree. I mean, Squid Game is death game, as you say. Kaiji, people do die, but in a broad sense, Kaiji is not a death game anime. People are not dying. There's not gore. You know, they you know, even in situations where people are getting injured or dying, it's not really like portrayed on screen in some gruesome way. You know, Kaiji gets all his fingers cut off, but you see his emotional reaction to that. You don't see blood or anything.
I kept reading and hearing like comparisons to Hunger Games a lot, and I, you know, I'm like over here being like, this is like Battle Royale and Kaiji. If they had a baby, this is what it would be. You know, that was, and we had started watching this. You had watched this prior, Dan, but we all got together and did like an anime day or an anime night, and we watched a few episodes of this show. At least I came in towards that scene where they're crossing that beam,
right?
You know, and then I went and watched it afterwards. right soon afterwards. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. And now it's like, after watching it a second time, I'm like, well, it's like Squid Game, but I really do consider, like, did the creator of Squid Game see this show, watch this show? Did it draw any inspiration from it, or is it just coincidence?
Yeah, because Squid literally, why can't I say this title? Squid Game has been in production, or was written like 11 years ago. And it only finally, after getting rejected by everyone, finally Netflix picked it up and adapted it.
Kaiji ain't exactly some new show either. I was watching season 2 in 2012. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the first season's 2007, isn't it?
Yeah, so probably, yeah. So it is possible that Squid Game guys saw Kaiji. I would not say that Squid Game is a ripoff of Kaiji, but I do think that there is likely some level of influence going on. You know, but I want to take a couple steps backwards in our conversation for a moment, just to respond to your idea, Amelia, to your opinion that Kaiji goes after Hyodo as a issue of pride at the end of season 1, and that he would have been better to take the money he had won and leave with that. And I don't disagree that it would have been the wiser decision for him to take his winnings and leave. But I don't think he goes after Hyodo out of pride. And I think this is really important to the show as a what's the word I'm looking for as a critique of capitalism, because I don't think it's an issue of pride. I think it's an issue of understanding that Tonegawa was not the enemy, that he was a victim himself. I mean, he says that, he like literally says that on screen, that I understand now, Tonegawa was not the enemy, you know, Hyodo is the enemy. Tonegawa is just another victim. And it's true because Hyodo, like, this is kind of the one of the broader interpretations of capitalism that Kaiji is setting up, that the true evil are the people at the top that are exploiting those below them. And there's different levels of exploitation. You know, there's people, you know, in the middle that, you know, whether it's, you know, Tonegawa down to Endo, down to the kind of nameless individuals of Tei, all the way down to Kaiji and the 45s and all these people that are at the bottom of the food chain. But Tonegawa himself is also, you know, exploited and also, you know, kind of forced to do things against his will in certain ways. He's also a victim of the cruelties and the brutalities of those above him. And he also has no ability to strike back, or no ability to negotiate on fair terms, or to meet this person as an equal. And so that's why, you know, Kaiji sees Tonegawa do the apology, and he's like, dude, you know, that is, and the apology being, right, when he like gets on this burning plank of steel and has to do a bowing apology, and he gives himself, you know, 3rd-degree burns all over his body and gets all fucked up. And he's like, dude, like, you know, Tonegawa really didn't, like, that wasn't what I wanted to see happen. But Tonegawa was forced into it because, you know, he is also being dominated and exploited by someone above him. And Hyodo is the kind of, you know, where the buck stops, right? Hyodo is the ultimate evil here, as the person at the top that does all the exploiting, reaps all the benefits of everyone, of the exploitation of everyone below him. And, you know, there's no check to his power. There's no limits to his power. That's why Kaiji is like, you know, if I want to make, you know, if I really want to make an impact, if I want to strike back at these systems of power that are oppressing me and the people around me, that are exploiting me and the people around me, then, you know, I can't, it's not Tonegawa. I have to strike back at Hyodo directly.
Like, I understand that, but I just like don't the amount of empathy he has for people who have done him wrong is crazy to me.
Because it is, because he's a Christ-like figure.
Okay, whatever.
That's what I'm saying.
It's literally, but like the world that he applies, like socialism and like social constructs of the normal world, not to this world that he's in. He's in a completely different world. The rules of this world are totally different from our reality and what we know. And the fact that he applies those to this world, like I just like don't understand. Like it's the same in Squid Game. Like they're in a completely different like hierarchy system. There's no way that you're going to survive or that you're going to like be victorious if you do the same things that you would do in the normal world. And that's what's so frustrating to me, because he has empathy for Tonegawa when Tonegawa literally just like took all of his money. Like,
but Dan is saying that Tonegawa didn't take the money. It's the system, or Toyota, who is really pulling the strings, took the money.
Yeah, but like, how many times does the little guy win against the big guy? The big guy always has more resources, always has more knowledge, always has more power.
And Kaiji's naive for thinking that he can beat Hyoto in the first season.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which leads to one of my all-time favorite scenes in anime, or favorite sequences, and certainly my favorite sequence of Kaiji. When he's battling Hyoto and he calls out to God to help him when
there is no God where you are, Kaiji. I know. I don't understand this.
And then afterwards, when Kaiji's reflecting and he thinks to himself, he's like, what was I doing? I called out to God to help me. There is no God. God will never help me.
But then he calls out to God again later on in the series, and I'm just
when does he do this?
He does it. He
does it in the bog. He does it. Well, I mean, he does it in the bog, kind of, but I don't know. He's only human,
Whatever. He's not human. He's not human because literally, like, people in this anime would not do the things that they are doing. There's so much anime logic in this series.
Oh, really? I don't
even
feel that
funny.
Way personally.
Oh my gosh, yeah, because they like purposefully don't explain the game fully to you so that they can reveal something else that has happened in the series. Like
so when you say they purposely don't reveal the game, do you mean that the story doesn't reveal the game, or the person overseeing the gamble does not reveal the game?
No, like, so they'll explain what they have to do for this specific game, like the narrator or the people. I mean, both of them explain everything so many times, and then by the end of the game, there's some kind of like thing that nobody has seen up until this point. It hasn't been explained that like this is going to happen, or that this is a way for you to win at this game, or like this is how I don't know. But anyway, so like with the crossing the beam, magically by the time Kaiji gets to the other side, there's a set of glass steps that he can walk up to.
But I guess I don't see that as anime logic, because that that was always there. Was it? Yeah, I mean, they explain how it is that you wouldn't see this set of glass stairs, and what it all means and whatnot. I didn't see that as being a anime logic or a plot hole or anything. I saw that as being, but I think you're hitting a point that I wanted to make, that is a meaningful difference between Squid Game and Kaiji. Because Squid Game, they really drive home the idea that these games are fair, that everyone is on an equal playing field. There are no tricks to these games. You just have to survive, and it's a question of kind of like your willpower and your wits and ability to survive. Kaiji, like, all of these games have a trick to them. The games are rigged. Always, they are rigged 100% against you, and the game is only there to exploit you and to destroy you and sink you further into the hole, which again I think creates the stronger critique of capitalism. It's a more like clear cut to me critique of capitalism, where Squid Game, Squid Game does not work as a critique of capitalism, in my opinion. I didn't get that from Squid Game, and I don't understand why that has become a rallying point of Squid Game and its kind of memification and hype and rise to popularity. I don't get what's supposed to be anti-capitalist about this. If anything, you would think that this is kind of like pro-capitalist, that we've set all of these players on an equal playing field in this meritocracy, and the strongest will survive by virtue of their merits as individuals. Kaiji, it's like, no, just in the same way that capitalism is always rigged to draw wealth and draw economic gain from the people on the bottom, so that the people on the top can reap the benefits. The gambles are the systems of capitalism, right? That they are there purely to suck the life and resources and money out of the people playing them, so that people like Hyodo can live these lavish lives of weird excess, so that Hyodo can crawl around on all fours and drink weird wine out of a bowl like a dog.
So you don't think that the so those European American actors in Squid Game, the ones with the masks, are contrary, or at least similar to the people watching the games in Kaiji? They all they're there as spectators because they have the money to do so, and they have nothing else better to do other than watch people suffer.
I guess I don't see that as being some inherent criticism of capitalism, that people feed off depravity. We have these rich people that are just finding joy in the suffering of those below them. But there are depraved people finding suffering and joy in the suffering of those around them. That's just part of the human condition, I don't see that as being exclusive to capitalism, and I don't really think that capitalism somehow creates this or feeds this more than in any other scenario. I mean, this is no different than little kids that before they become serial killers torturing animals just because they can. That's not limited. That's got nothing to do with capitalism. So I agree that these are parallel. These are parallel things in both shows. This is a similarity that they create these situations where the rich and the powerful are nefariously taking joy from the suffering of those below them purely because they can. I just see that as being besides the point of capitalism.
Did anyone hate the VIP's voice, the actors in that? Do you guys find that a little off-putting? How this didn't sound like they were acting for the right role. Do they just
I don't think
really odd to me?
It didn't bother me personally, but I talked to other people that really hated on the spectators of Squid Game, and especially a gay friend of mine was not exactly offended, but was a little felt why did they make these people gay, or try to paint them as being sexual deviants in some way? It's completely besides the point.
That is common though, isn't it, in Hollywood movies and even in Disney movies, where they either you have a disfigurement or you're bisexual or homosexual.
Well, I just equated that to the VIPs as royalty, and in royalty it wasn't, and in Roman times there wasn't the stigma of being gay or bi or whatever. You just did whatever you wanted to do because it was
because you had power.
Yeah. I didn't equate that to anything like that.
Like the Catholic Church.
Yeah, exactly.
The only thing I found off-putting was the red hair at the end.
Oh yeah, Jesus fucking Christ! Man.
The red hair. Yeah.
I mean, the whole ending of Squid Game was so preposterous. It's dude is fundamentally incapable of being a good dad. Period. You could give this man a fucking quintillion dollars, and he's still still refuses to be a good dad.
Yeah, well,
It's just
Kaiji
conscious choice.
refuses to be a good person. He still gambles away literally all of his money at the end.
See, I actually,
I literally like, what the actual fuck? You literally.
I love the ending of Kaiji. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
No, he's fucking stupid.
He continued that he like cannot break the cycle of his addiction. He continues to just gamble. He loses all his money. He has to
fucking idiot. He is so hard to like. He is so hard to like.
Yeah, but people with gambling addiction, it's a real thing. People act like that. But I don't think they should necessarily fault them for their addiction. Like anyone who has any addiction, it's not. I mean,
like Kaiji doesn't hurt anyone with his addiction, really. But that's not the case for a lot of people. Like people hurt other people because of their addiction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like different when you're hurting yourself.
But I part of what I like about the ending of Kaiji is that it humbles our guy Kaiji, right?
Does it though?
Because Kaiji, like, he wins the bog. He's like on a bit of a winning streak, and this is a consistent thing of Kaiji. Like when we are introduced to Kaiji as a character, season 1, episode 1, Kaiji is losing at a card game, right? Like he is not born lucky. He is not supposed to be particularly smart or particularly like crafty or anything. Like he loses all the time. And up in season 2, he has kind of a bit of a winning streak. So of course, in the end, he's still got to lose because, he's fucking Kaiji, because he is a fuck up. He's kind of the scum of society. He can't, fit into modern life. He can't participate in normal society in a reasonable way.
Even when he's given the opportunity.
He's a gambling addict. He's a loser. He's one of the destitute losers of the world. And for better or for worse, that's just who Kaiji is. And so I really like that. He's not a black and white hero per se.
Yeah, that's a good point. He is a man of gray areas. And that you can like love to hate or hate to love the character. But I guess, it's interesting. Like I was gonna make this point of I can't remember what I was gonna say. Just that I had multiple things I wanted to say. Okay, so the end of this. So after I didn't get to rewatch the second season, but at the end of the second season, I started to read the manga, and I want to know, like, does he change? And I didn't get very far because I'm like, doesn't seem like he's gonna change very much.
That bitch not gonna change.
But I like to think that because this show is it was licensed for one to be, it was Sentai, right? Sentai Filmworks, a Blu-ray format, that maybe they'll continue to create more of the show and adapt the manga, because I think it'd be worthwhile to see where he ends up.
Okay, so I went into it either like, okay, so I knew there was a second season, so Kaiji's nothing's gonna happen to Kaiji in the first season. Already knew that. Second season, I'm like, okay, there's no more of this anime. He's either going to die or he's going to lose or he's going to win. Either of those outcomes, because those are the outcomes that he could have.
Yeah. So my impression, or I guess the common belief about the Kaiji, continuing the Kaiji anime, is that they will not make a season 3 because the next story arc is the Mahjong story arc, and that Mahjong is simply too confusing to kind of bring to life, and that the audience is not really going to vibe with the bizarre weird take on Mahjong that they spend an entire story arc playing.
Well, they shouldn't worry about that because they explain everything 5 times anyway. So
let's discuss that, because I think we were talking about this in the car. Some of the pacing, even after a second watch, was not my favorite. It's
The
just like,
worst pacing. Oh my god.
Oh,
I think it
yeah.
works better as a watch an episode here a day, not like continuously watching it. To me, at least, it's just a lot. There's a lot going on in the explanations. It's like them explaining what's happening for scene by scene, minute per minute.
3
Yeah.
times. It's explained in less than real time. Just fucking get to the goddamn point. Like, I do not care at this point about statistics. I do not care about how you win this game. Literally, show me who wins, because I get Kaiji's like, oh my god. I get the other guys like, oh my god, I'm gonna best him. I don't care at this point. It takes 8 episodes to get through that first game. Not even off the first ship.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
the first game.
Yeah, this stuff doesn't bother me at all personally, and also the narrator of Kaiji is one of the unsung heroes of the show, because the way that dude talks is fucking amazing. It's so funny.
Really good, really good.
Yeah,
he keeps the show going. He keeps the energy going.
yeah. I do like, to go back to Kaiji as the gambling addict. I like how you can see the development of Kaiji's persona in this regard, insofar as when he starts in season 1, he's like a totally normal ass guy. By the end of season 1, Hyodo tells Kaiji, your brain is fried, you can only like get high off of crazy gambles, and that's going to drive you for the rest of your life. Like, welcome to the club of being a deranged son of a bitch. We open season 2 with Kaiji like on the run from the Tei Corporation. And when Kaiji sees Endo again, Kaiji's like, I've gambled away all my money, but I bet if you just give me, just lend me $1,000 so that I can get back out there and start gambling again. And for sure, I'm going to get all the money that you need. Just
No,
like,
you're not, because you're a loser.
Bridge loan. Yeah. And Endo, reflects on this and is like, dude, Kaiji is a straight up addict now. He's fucking gone. Like, this guy is like, he's lost touch with reality, and we see it. Yeah. Like, in the opening episodes of season 2, it's the same way. Kaiji like tries to gamble with everybody, but in the end he like only feels alive when he's like in immense bliss from a big win, or immense horror from a big loss. And the only way that he can feel anything is through crazy gambles. And he continues on this path all the way up to the end of season 2, at the end of the show, when he still is like, I just can't stop gambling. It's the only thing I can do. Gambled away all of my winnings in a couple days because I'm a fucking freak.
One night, Dan. One night it was 600,000 yen.
Yeah. Need that dopamine hit.
Yeah, exactly. But I get it, man, because I don't feel anything either unless I buy really expensive records. So.
Yeah, that's one thing. That's the comparison, is people who literally just buy stuff online, like online a shopping addiction.
Yeah,
even though if they don't even use the item, it's just like that addiction of the dopamine hit of buying something.
Yeah, I feel
really gratifying.
Yeah.
That could be the next season. Kaiji just spending all his money on
oh my god
expensive figures.
Yeah, and then we'll get like 8 explanations of why he's like deciding between 2 different figures. I just think like there's something that's lost when you explain things too much. Like, you on the bridge, on the balance beam, you get everyone's perspective, and someone explicitly telling you what they are thinking. Like, the narrator explicitly tells you exactly what these people are thinking, wherein I feel like Squid Game, you don't need to have an explanation, because you can see it on their faces. You can feel it in the way that they hold themselves, in the way that they walk, or they look at someone, or even if they pause and take a moment to think about like what's about to happen. Whereas like when I'm explicitly told this, I'm like, oh, there's no like joy in finding out the result, because I already know what everyone's thinking the entire time.
I wonder if that is, I understand what you mean, and I don't disagree, but I wonder if that's just if we chalk that up to the difference between live action versus anime.
I was going to say, is that the limitations of anime?
I feel like it's the limitations of shonen.
Okay.
because it happens in most shonens, you know what I mean, like Naruto. Jesus Louises, you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, so we are. I wouldn't have thought this was as a shonen necessarily show. I think would have thought seinen.
I mean, it's the tag is seinen for sure on Mao, but it has very shonen tropes of like over explaining and getting every side of the fight. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah.
Like the next boss battle, kind of like this is the next stage or next.
I will say that as I went through Squid Game, I was waiting for the games to have any kind of like trick to them, and I especially felt this at the end of Squid Game when technically our main character cancels the game before the other guy commits suicide to make our main character the default winner. And I thought when that happened, I thought for sure, like, wow, that's going to be the big ending twist. They're not going to give him any money because he canceled out of the game at the last second. But they, I guess, decided that the cancellation was a non-issue in the face of that guy's suicide, and that they were going to give him all the money. And Geoff, you look like you're trying to remember what I'm talking about. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I do.
Because they're playing the actual children's game, Squid Game, and then it's just the two of them, like, and they've been struggling with the knife, and then our main character has the upper hand, and he's going for the kill, but he stabs the ground next to the other guy's head, and he gets up and he says, "We only need 50% of the people to quit the game, right? I quit the game." And
another comparison to Kaiji.
Well, because I
was very empathetic to your opponent, very empathetic to your opponent in that moment. Like, I would not have done that.
I wouldn't have done that either.
Life or death, bitch, is me or you, and it's going to be me.
I was expecting that because he canceled the game, that they were going to be like, oh, okay, the game's off, and then the guy commits suicide, and they're like, well, that was stupid of him because the game was off. Because that's what they do in Kaiji. In Kaiji, they're on the beam, and then Kaiji's like, we want to live, stop the game, take off the electricity, but they don't take off the electricity immediately, so everybody assumes, they wait like 5 minutes to turn off the electricity, so then everyone assumes that they're stuck in the game, and then even when Kaiji wins the game, they say, oh, but you canceled out of the game.
I mean, he literally did though. He literally did though.
Yeah, but it's fucked up. And again, this is just
none of this is supposed to be fair. That's the thing. Everyone assumes that it's supposed to be fair, but none of this is fair. That's why I'm like, I'm counting on myself, and that is it.
Yeah. That's one of the big angles of Kaiji. It's never fair. Just like capitalism ain't ever really fair. And Squid Game, they really strive hard to be like, this is completely fair. We do not have, there's no twists. They punish all the people that were plotting to gain advantage in the game, that were like leaking information about upcoming games so that people could prepare. All those people get killed off, and they make a big deal about like, that is so unacceptable because this is purely a meritocracy. In Kaiji, it's like, no, like they'll do anything to screw you over, any technicality.
Yeah, it begs the question, it's so popular, Squid Game, like if they make a new season of it, I just don't see it being very good.
I really just like
don't see how they would move the plot.
I don't get it either.
I don't think it needs any other season. No. I don't like that the ending was left on a cliffhanger. Like, I don't like it, like kind of diminishes the season, I feel like, to make a second season, because you have this like complete story. The guy got, the guy won, the main character won, and we saw the end of his story. Basically, we saw the end. It's wrapped up, nice little bow. I don't need to see any more. I know exactly what's going to happen next. You know what I mean? Kind of like, I guess in Kaiji, it's a little different because he does go through a growing period in the second season where he doesn't make exactly the same mistakes that he did in the first season. You know, he kind of learns how to like navigate this underworld.
Mhm.
Where like I don't think I don't need to see these characters navigating this underworld anymore.
Mhm.
You know, I've seen it.
Well, and I think also Squid Game doesn't ever explain the organization that is running the Squid Games,
Mhm.
right? Like we're not, there's not really an explanation as to the antagonists. And we eventually find out in the reveal of the last episode that the old man was the head, was the primary antagonist the whole time. He was secretly the big bad. And then, but that guy dies at the end. He's not there anymore.
Exactly.
So,
That's why
like,
we don't need a second season.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Don't need
who is our main character supposed to be battling against? They set themselves up the opportunity to explain the antagonist with the police storyline, and then they just left it hanging with nothing. It went nowhere.
I
Yeah,
think
but-
it,
Different.
it would be that. I think it would be that the brother who survives, the guy with the blast mask.
Yeah.
I would imagine
Yeah.
he would pick it up.
Yeah.
If
But
I were
I
writing
at
can
the
the-
story.
assume so, but
in lieu of Kaiji, I don't need that explained to me. You know what I mean? I don't need that explained. It can be up to speculation. I can
Kaiji's different because we know that like Kyoto is the big bad, and this is not over until Kaiji defeats Kyoto. So there's still plenty of room for the story to keep going forward.
They did that old man dirty though. Like I really wanted to root for him. I was rooting for him up until the marbles game that they were playing.
Yeah, Marbles episode was the best episode of
Oh
Squid
my
Game.
God.
That a
I
really
was
good
like,
one.
I was
brutal
like,
shit. Yeah.
oh, so brutal.
And I felt like the two, like if I were in Squid Game, I would be like those two girls. I thought the two girls were like
Oh
by
yeah.
far the most honorable, most reasonable. Like that's how I would want to play the Marbles game.
Yeah.
By
I
just
mean,
chilling and then doing something completely by chance.
yeah. Well, it's like a in playing these kinds of games, there is a little bit of luck on your side. There is a little bit of like chance. And you can have some strategy some of the times, but sometimes your strategy can backfire. So I like want to say that I would be like those girls and be really like honorable, but at the same time, I feel like if this was life or death, like, and it's me or you, I'm gonna do whatever it takes.
You vicious.
I might
You're
be
gonna-
it. What's his
You're
name?
gonna sneak that Indian guy.
Sang Woo. Yeah.
Yeah.
That Indian man. Oh my god.
Ali.
Oh my god. Love you
Or
to death.
Pakistani. Sorry.
You
Pakistani, yeah.
You so cute and you know you're really trying to do good for your family, but
Mhm.
you too trusting. You're too trusting.
Yeah.
There's no fight in you.
I thought, the Pakistani guy got done dirty. I thought
did.
Sang Woo was the guy's name, the
Yeah.
financial guy.
Oh, I
I thought
hated
Sang
him
Woo
so much.
just like unreal,
Fuck.
dude, just despicable,
Ooh,
despicable,
yeah. But
disgusting
Two-Face.
behavior.
but if it was
Yeah.
you or him,
Yeah, I wouldn't act like that.
you wouldn't act like that. You would die though.
No, because my sense of pride is so like, I couldn't. I would rather die over issues of pride like that.
What really?
Personally, yeah. Living right is important to me, you know.
Mm.
Living is important to me. You know that little piggy bank could get like 8 Teslas. I could get 8 Teslas for all my friends.
It's true.
Who wants a
Should-
Tesla?
You get
Yeah.
an NFT.
Yeah.
But then you have to live with the guilt of portraying these people.
well,
But you
the
know,
underworld
but if you
is
have no,
different rules. Different rules
you-
in the underworld.
I
Different
guess if you
rules
have
on
no
the dark web.
conscious, you know, I guess that it's not that bad, but
No, I'm so nice in real life. I would not be able to do anything. I am all talk. I'm literally all talk. Oh man.
I mean, Kaiji cried a lot, and I'm like, would I cry
Fuck,
that
man.
much?
That's what I'm
Probably.
saying.
If my hand was stuck in that damn thing, and I was ready to get my
Oh,
fingers
dude,
chopped
I
off.
know. But Kaiji took it like a man, though.
He did.
He did
That
not
was
take it like a
sick.
man. He cried like a little baby. He cried like a
No,
little bitch.
He cried like
He was
he cried
bitch
like a
the
little.
whole time.
Yeah, he pulled.
Fucking man up.
He cried out for a couple minutes, then he pulled himself
Yeah,
together.
he was like,
you know?
I'm doing it.
Yeah,
doing it.
Come on, yeah. I thought that was reasonable. Yeah,
It's reasonable.
I to be fair though, I probably wouldn't see myself in any of the situations because I would just man up. You know what I mean?
You know,
all right, fine. I have to do this. I have to work 8 jobs. That's what I got to do. Okay.
Well, yeah, and I thought Kaiji working at the convenience store was a really interesting sequence, and it's a sequence that Squid Game did not try to go for, like, because Squid Game and Kaiji both have an ebb and flow where they like do a little bit of game, then they come back to normal life, then they return to the game because they realize that they're not capable of surviving in normal life. When the Squid Game characters return to normal life, it's more like the pressures of their problems, their legal problems, their family problems, all these different things are just so great that they just don't see a way forward without participating in the Squid Game. And Kaiji, he gets back to real life and he's in debt, but he's like, yeah, like whatever, many people in debt in this world. And he's working like a minimum wage job. And he's like, dude, I can't, like I'll never get out of debt with a minimum wage job because under capitalism, people ain't paying a fucking living wage if they can afford it, if they can afford not to.
In Kaiji, he knows that at some point the Tei group is coming for him. So I feel like it's a little bit different because he's just buying his time. He's just like getting by until he gets picked up again. Whereas in Squid Game, after the first game and it's over, like they don't know if they have an opportunity to go back.
That's true.
That's like true. They're like, okay, so I did this thing that is pretty life-changing. It was a pretty extreme experience. And now I have to go back to normal life, not winning anything, still being in the same amount of debt, still having the loan sharks come and like be with take my family or take my possessions and whatever. So I feel like that's a little bit different. That's a little bit different of a dynamic.
Yeah, that's true. That's
waiting to get taken back and like hoping that you have another chance, I feel like that's like the difference between like the end of the first season of Kaiji and the second season, because he's out. Well, I guess he's still out on the run, isn't he? Yeah. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sorry. Did he ever pay back his little loan to get his fingers and his ears sewed back on to the They never explained that part. They never said if he paid back his debt to the black market doctor. I'm just wondering.
Oh yeah, well,
in the manga.
The narrator did not explain that.
They did not.
It's in the details.
Yeah,
small little details.
One fucking thing they don't explain.
Yeah.
But going back to what you said, Dan, about like the day-to-day life, the drama of Squid Game is, I think, what made it popular in the first place. Because so many people around the world can relate to this, especially like post 2020 and pandemic atmosphere of not being able to afford certain things, getting evicted. People can relate to that on a lot of levels. Kaiji, like people could probably relate to Kaiji, but I was thinking this too. There's not really any female characters in Kaiji.
There's literally none.
Or families necessarily, right? I mean, there's like the woman who works at the pachinko parlor, and her husband who fell off the beam. But like, I don't know, like there's some connection to the real world there.
Yeah.
Why is that? Did women don't gamble? Is that a statistic? Like, is it a Japanese statistic of just
no, bitch, women gamble. They be gambling.
I don't think it's like that. I mean,
I think the character designer just like does not know how to draw women characters, because even the one woman that was in this fucking anime was ugly as fuck. Like,
but that was like I was like, this is
literally an ugly bastard, but she's a lady. Like, what? I'm like, oh my god!
It's not
the prettiest man in this entire series was the pachinko like guy. What was his name?
Yeah. Oh, I don't remember his name.
He was the prettiest.
Yeah. But it's not like they drew this ugly girl and pretended that she was a normal looking girl. They drew this ugly girl, and the joke was that she was really ugly, But it's an in-universe gag that like Sakamoto's daughter is really ugly, but he cherishes her because he's a good dad.
I was
And he's
like, I
"Oh,
watched
look
a
at
lot
my
of
beautiful,
hentai, but
my beautiful angel," and everyone else is like, "Oh,
That's like an ongoing anime gag now that I think about it. I mean, even in Ippo, there's a woman on the beach, and they're all like gawking at her from behind, and she turns
Yeah.
around and she's just really ugly.
oh my god, is there one in Baki
Yeah.
too? Baki
Well,
was
they do-
ridiculous.
They do that in
Yeah.
Hajime. They do that in Hajime no Ippo too, where one of the
That's what I was
guys'
saying.
girlfriends.
Ippo.
is
That's what I
like-
said. That's what I
Oh,
said.
sorry, I misunderstood what you were
Mhm,
saying. Then. Yeah. The guy's girlfriend is actually ugly, but he's like, "Oh, she's so hot."
I love that for her. Get you a man that thinks you beautiful no matter what, girl.
I agree. Yeah.
Even if you ugly.
Yeah, everybody, there's always somebody out there that's into what you're putting down. But why does Kaiji have no female characters? I feel bad that never crossed my mind, just for better or for worse.
Mine was I've seen a couple of female characters and they're all fucking ugly. Can this guy like draw anything else?
Well, yeah, I guess it's true that makes it arguably a bit more unrealistic. And in the live action movie, there are female characters. But I would chalk this up to just anime logic, that like that's an anime for men. They just make men. I don't know.
Well, I mean, even
maybe that's a bad thing. Whatever.
Even the one, not like the one female character, but like the ugly female character in Squid Game was like exploited for her ugliness.
Which ugly girl?
Minyo.
The one that was hooking up with the thug guy for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't think of her as supposed to be the ugly girl. I thought she was the crazy girl.
Well, she like goes around and they're like, ew, we don't like her. Like, ew, like she's like gross.
Oh,
but
I thought it was because she was crazy.
I'm gonna fuck her anyway.
Yeah.
And she's like, I know I'm old. She kept saying like, I know I'm old, but I'm gonna fuck you better than like any of these young bitches over here.
Damn. Yeah. Have you?
Yeah.
I have. I think it's Tohei Densetsu Akagi. This other. It's not a spinoff. Is it a spinoff? There's another series.
The author.
Kaiji?
I'm sorry, Kaiji.
The author of Kaiji has several other gambling series that all have very similar character designs.
Okay, so it's not the same. It's not okay. Not Kaiji is necessarily in it. Okay. Yeah, I have it saved on my list of things to watch, but I guess I'll get to it when I get to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I also, since we are talking about Kaiji, top 3 Kaiji moments.
Oh my god.
Number 1, when he calls out to God, then he's like, why did I call out to God? Number 2, which I just watched earlier today, so it's really on my mind. When Kaiji puts his hand into the time only God knows towards the end of the first arc of season 2. I'll never forget the way that I felt the first time I watched that episode. I was at the airport at an overnight layover on our first European tour, and I was watching this on my computer, and I just leapt out of my chair holding my laptop. I was like, it was like just the tension, the explosion of tension just absolutely blew me away.
Wait,
still
which one?
Every time blows me away.
Which
It's like episode 7 of season 2 when Otsuki is rolling the dice and he's using the cheating dice, and then Kaiji, like in the last 10 seconds of the episode, they have the bells playing and the synths, and Kaiji like
grabs it,
stands up and puts his hand in the bowl and grabs the dice, and then everybody starts to go they're all like freaking the fuck out, and like
actually really
the narrator
I really equate this to Kakegurui.
Yeah.
So many, like the fingernail scene in Kaiji where he's getting the needle like twisted underneath all of his fucking fingernails.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
cringy. Like I was like literally like writhing in my seat. And I do the same thing with Kakegurui when the girl's like trying to pick off the other girl's fingernails.
Yeah. Brutal shit. Yeah.
If people want to
Yeah.
watch something like Kaiji, I would say Kakegurui, honestly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Squid Game.
Yeah. I do agree with that. Kakegurui is closer for being more like game oriented gambling rather than Squid Games,
Well, because
character oriented death game.
the first game in Kakegurui is also rock, paper, scissors as a card game in which people cheat.
And it's mostly all female characters, right?
Yeah, lots of female characters. Lots
Yeah.
and lots.
So if you want the female version of
Yes.
the feminist,
Yeah,
the
that's
feminist
true.
take on Kaiji.
Oh,
true.
yes. I
Yeah,
love
that's true.
it. I cosplay Runa. She's one of the characters in Kakegurui. She's kind of like she oversees a lot of games.
I'll cosplay Kaiji sometime. I would do that. Grow my hair into a mullet. And
Oh,
Ooh.
hell
wear a
yeah.
flight jacket.
Hell yeah. I noticed Kaiji had a lot of teeth, you know. You normally
Yeah.
don't see anime characters with so many teeth.
Yeah, Kaiji's art style is pretty
Off-putting.
striking.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's so interesting.
Well, people say that it's off-putting. It's not. It's not off-putting to me, but
It
I don't
grew
know,
on me. It grew on me personally. I'm like, this kind of looks like Picasso, like the Picasso, like
Oh
the
my
cubist,
God.
the cubist side angle of like the really jagged.
Absolutely, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But then from the front, his Kaiji's face is actually appealing to me. It's like a very elongated jaw.
A
It's very
weak jaw,
symmetrical.
if you will, a weak jaw.
Yeah.
Everyone else in the series has like very stark, like
Oh.
right angled jaws.
Yeah, it's
And when
true.
they're drinking out of the weird wine, their chins are all dipping in the the weird wine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So is the art style off-putting because people often describe the art style of Kaiji as being off-putting. I mean, is that really just because it doesn't look like other anime and everyone just wants like, beautiful anime characters in a stereotypical anime art style?
I feel like it's just one of those things where like noses don't look like noses. So the fact that like it's in the middle of a face, like you read it as a nose, but like if you were to like separate all the features, none of the features would like make what they make. You know what I mean?
There's Kaiji and then there's Ongaku. Like,
which do I
different-
prefer?
If you had a spectrum.
Right.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay, I understand what you mean. That the art, it's not that it looks too different from anime; it's that it looks too unrealistic. Period, for being a realistic show. Word.
Yeah, I think it's like really stylized, but if you had it, maybe if it was a more realistic representational like art style, then maybe I think it might make them more boring or just boring.
Really? I feel like maybe you would get the emotion more.
Oh, that's
know?
true.
Oh, I don't. I think Kaiji, anime Kaiji, is so expressive, and I do understand what you mean, that the narrator's like kind of consistently telling you that how people feel, but also there's lots of moments, like the when Kaiji loses to Hyodo and his character design starts getting all twisted and it's like the energy is blowing on his face and his hair is getting knocked back and he's like and then Hyodo's like gets all evil and perked up and he's like there's like lots of moments like that I think are very, very expressive. That I actually think the expressiveness is one of the better, more compelling parts of Kaiji. It's same like when he's battling the bog towards the end.
I guess, but it's all the same
they're in
expression.
pain. It's crazy. Yeah.
It's always rippling eyes that are crying tears. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't have. There's no in between. There's no in between with Kaiji. He's either determined or fucking crying.
Yeah, well, that's a real man for you. Either he's crying or he's not crying.
Any other big points, takeaways?
My third favorite moment in Kaiji is when he makes the speech right before he beats the bog. His like big victory speech just really rouses my heart. Just gets my adrenaline pumping. And we actually took that speech and kind of changed the wording of it a little bit, but that speech is kind of the basis of one of the old Lotus Fucker shirt designs, the one that Steven helped me make. Actually.
Yep, he was talking about it today.
Yeah,
I was like, do you think in the manga it's just like you just like reading a book? Because of how much the narrator is talking and then how much everything is being explained. And Steven was like, well, the one Lotus Fucker shirt that I helped Dan make was literal just like text on a shirt. So
yeah, well, it's rousing speech.
I wish I had finished rewatching the second season because I'm missing. I don't remember a lot from the second season, but I remember that I liked it better than the first season.
Definitely, yeah. It's definitely more compelling. Kaiji's a little less of a crybaby. He like mans up. He thinks for himself a little bit more. But the way that he beats the bog like is absolutely unfathomable, unrealistic. That would literally never happen.
It's like some weird mission.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like about like the anime logic. Like I have to like suspend my belief of this universe that they are in because they are. It's like a hyper realistic universe where Kaiji is playing these hyper realistic games and whatever, but then like you have these like unfathomable ways that he is winning these things. It kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't balance for me,
right?
Whereas like I just like Squid Game, I just like the Squid Game. I like the games. Can you imagine having to step on glass that may or may not hold your weight?
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Wild.
So, yeah, would you suggest people watch this show then after watching Squid Game? Like, oh, if you really like anime, you need to watch Kaiji.
No.
I was also thinking
Damn.
I mean, Kaiji is for a very specific kind of person named Dan. I feel like it is revered for what it is as the gambling anime, like the penultimate gambling anime. So like if you are into statistics, if you are into math, if you are into money math and like
philosophy,
like all of that, then you will enjoy Kaiji. But if you are looking for a Squid Game replacement that is anime, this is not it.
Yeah, I kind of agree insofar as I do not think the thematic similarities or the kind of like story similarities are strong enough that to say that like, oh, if you liked Squid Game, then you should watch Kaiji next.
No,
I think that's a bit loose. But I would definitely recommend Kaiji over Squid Game. I think Kaiji is one of the great accomplishments of anime as a medium, and Squid Game is a entertaining television show. Yeah,
I would say opposite. That's the opposite for me. I think Squid Game is something that we kind of needed because there is a void after Battle Royale, and I feel like Squid Game was written extremely well for what it is. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I guess it depends on who you're asking, because if you're asking an anime fan or like someone who really like, or just someone who's a straight up weeb, otaku, whatever, then maybe Kaiji would be the thing I would suggest. But I wouldn't suggest it as a anime you would first watch, opener, a first anime to suggest somebody. maybe a little
Interesting.
maybe too heavy. I don't know. And I guess maybe it just depends on the person. I really liked it when we watched that episode back at your place, Amelia. And I had to figure out why the fuck he was up there. So I went back and watched it. I don't know. I gave it a 9, I think, on Mal.
Yeah, I gave it a 10.
7s across the board, both seasons.
Is Squid Game going to be long and forgotten, do you think?
Yes,
a
I
couple
think
years,
Squid Game. I think Squid Game will be forgotten by next year.
I think coming from an anime standpoint, like this is an anime podcast. We were talking about Kaiji. We were talking about Squid Game. Yeah, I can see why you guys would think that. But as a person who likes death game shows, death game movies, like horror, I don't think Squid Game will be as forgotten.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree. Genre fans will probably keep being into it, but when we think of Squid Game as being this big, like, it's the biggest trending television show of the moment, and everybody's watching Squid Games, and people buying, white Converse, as a statement against capitalism, and they're buying them out the wazoo so they can look like the people in Squid Game. Yeah, if they don't do a season 2, ain't nobody gonna care about Squid Game by next year. Like not in this like overarching pop culture context. And yeah, similarly, nobody like. I think anime fans are going to continue to care about Kaiji because it's a minor classic, but otherwise, ain't nobody really going to care about Kaiji in a broad sense either. It's old.
Well, I was going to make a comparison to Game of Thrones because it was people rally around that show for years, and then the last season comes out and everyone forgot about it literally the next day.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
fuck the show.
We've talked about this at length before. I'm really fascinated by the rise and fall of Game of Thrones.
That's because they fucked the ending.
Yeah,
they fucked the ending. People don't want to watch.
If they make another season of Squid Game and it's awful, people are they're gonna look at it as a whole. They're gonna be like, "This shit was awful."
It's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, the first season of Kaiji was awful as a whole.
What are you talking about?
Damn.
What?
Damn.
What?
She went there.
I went there.
What? I think season 1 is better than season 2.
Ew,
season 2 has more of my favorite moments.
It's because it's so boring. It's why you like it.
If anything, I would say season 2 is the boring one because it just drags on and on and on.
They all drag on and on. They could have told this story in literally the 26 episodes of the first season.
Yeah, it's
I'm just saying.
I think things that are challenging to watch are usually the most enjoyable for me personally. So maybe that's why I like Kaiji.
Ew. Yeah, no.
Oh, see, I feel like
total opposite. If I'm I was like, I could be watching Komi-san. I could be watching these cute girls like overcome
but that's not challenge. That's not challenge.
Yeah, I feel exactly the opposite because every time I watch an episode of Kaiji, I feel like, man, I could watch fucking all 50 episodes in a row right now.
No.
Like, this is fucking amazing.
I was like, damn, I have to watch all 50 episodes.
It's like water. It just keeps pouring. It just keeps flowing and flowing and flowing.
Yeah. The weakest part for me was the boat, and I don't care how many times I watch it.
It's just so over-explained. That's the thing. Like, over and over again. I get it. The odds are against all odds. I get it.
Yeah. Well, I want everyone else to let us know what you think. Because if you watch Squid Game and you watch Kaiji 2, let us know in the Discord.
Yeah, Squid Game gang rise up, okay? Because
no, Kaiji gang.
Squid Game is so good. Where are my horror fans at? Where are my Death Game fans at?
Kaiji gang.
I needed something since Battle Royale.
Here. Kaiji gang. We're here.
Oh my god.
Rise up in the Discord.
Oh my god.
Talk about Kaiji.
I'm gonna delete that one
Game.
emoji.
Talk about Kaiji, not about Squid Game.
That's a panel. That's a panel right there. Kaiji versus Squid Game.
Oh my god.
Rise up. Or like hand out masks. If you want Kaiji to win, you like hand out the mask for all the Kaiji fans,
Oh my god.
Right.
and then like a square or a triangle for all the
Right.
Squid Game fans. All right, well, I guess we'll wrap it up with that.
Are we still a podcast even though I hate Kaiji?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool. So I can't lose this in my life.
I feel like I'm in the middle here. I can't. If I choose one side, someone's gonna hate me.
Well, this is what makes our for a good podcast between us. We've got the lover, the neutral, and the hater on just about every topic.
It's the Libra in me.
Oh my god,
Speaking
Libra
of
versus
signs.
two Geminis. Why are we on the opposite side, Dan? Tell me that. Riddle me that.
Even though we're both Gemini.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Hmm. Let's ponder that until the next episode.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks
Okay.
for visiting us on the web,
Yes.
however you're listening to us.
Yeah, join our
We'll be
Discord.
back. Yes, in 2 weeks, and we'll also be back on Shonen Brothers.
Oh yes. If you are
Episode.
listening to this, I'm pretty sure the sibling Sunday episode of Anime Bros. We're going to talk about little siscons over on Anime Bros podcast. And go ahead and listen to that.
Yes, Shonen Bros. I always say brothers. And
Show Bro.
I'm sorry, guys.
I nicknamed them the Show Bros, but it's the Anime Brothers podcast.
Anime Brothers.
Yes, we're gonna talk about some sisters. And our next episode, we're gonna be talking about the live action in Cowboy Bebop with our friend Christella. I got her on for another episode.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
If you liked her on Magica, then you'll love her on
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. I was thinking, who loves Cowboy Bebop? And then Christella was like, I want to cosplay Misato. Is that her name? I don't know her name.
No.
Who is it? No, that's from Ghost in the
Faye
Shell.
Valentine.
Faye, that's right.
And Misato was the woman from
Avon.
Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yeah, that's my favorite character from Evangelion. So, Christella, you're gonna have, when we go to A-Kon together, you're gonna have to cosplay not only Faye but also Misato. Just so you know that.
Challenge accepted, hopefully. Okay.
Okay.
Signing off, y'all.
All right,
Goodbye.
we'll see you.
Bye.
Otskade. We hope you enjoyed that episode of the Otaku Host Club podcast. If you want to be a part of the conversation or participate during episodes, hop on into our Discord server. The invite link should be in the show notes of wherever you're listening to this on. Or you can head on over to our website, otakuhostclub.com, where you'll find links to previous episodes, as well as our Instagram at Otaku Host Club, and our YouTube channel, where we put out video versions of episodes after they hit Spotify. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.